Hello everybody, Qualia Quartz here, back with another 20 album cover banner designs. Today's selection is mostly comprised of the albums that have been requested the most in the comments. I say mostly because I am still trying to get through the first few requests first, but I don't want to make it completely a first come first serve scenario. Like if I get a million comments for Igor, then I'm gonna do Igor, but I'm still trying to get through the entire list. Anyways, our first tutorial, one of the most requested, Dark Side of the Moon. Take a red banner, give it a lime stripe down the middle, a blue cross, a white stripe on the left, a black block on top, a gray diamond, and then make the entire bottom half black. This one took me a lot of tinkering, but I really like what I've come up with. Even more so considering the rainbow part at the end, you could infinitely customize which colors these are if you really wanted to. I obviously tried to convey the original here as much as I could, but if you really wanted to, you could just swap these colors out pretty easily. Make it your own thing. Anyways, up next we've got Duster's Stratosphere. Take a light gray banner, make the bottom half yellow, put a green block on the bottom, add a light gray central stripe like I show above, give it a light gray gradient from the top, and then add white spikes. You could alternatively give it a white border, but it would have those edges on the side. Either way conveys the album really well. I prefer the spikes because even though it's a little inconsistent with the actual cover, I often like using the spikes more for the general feeling, the shape of it. Either way, you have to sacrifice some inconsistency because obviously there's no white bars on the side of this album cover. But that's totally to your taste. Up next, we've got Demon Days by Gorillaz. Take a purple banner, make the entire top half yellow, Wario reference, make the left side green, give it a red gradient from the top, add a white squiggly border, a black cross, and the black border. This one I especially love how it came out because I was using this gradient both as a compromise for how to make all of the colors where I wanted them to go and still have it look good, and because the gradient actually made it look a little more like the actual cover as well because there's a little bit of shading to the coloring on this album. Up next we've got To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. Take a black banner, give it gray bricks, black stripes on the bottom, make the top half white, give it a gray snout pattern, give it a light gray gradient from the top, and then give it a light gray border. I've been finding useful ways to use the snout pattern recently. I love the way that it's basically the White House in the background. I do wish I could add the flagpole somehow, but I really love the way that this one came out. Up next, we've got GodWeenSatan by Ween. Another one that's so simple, I'm surprised that I haven't made it yet, especially considering Ween might possibly be the best band of all time. Take a magenta banner, give it a light blue flower pattern, make the bottom half magenta, give it a light blue circle, add light blue spikes on both sides, and then give it a magenta border. The first of many album cover designs for the best band to ever do it. Up next, we've got Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division. Take a white banner, give it a black brick pattern, add a light gray stripe to both sides, give it a black border, and then block it off on the top and the bottom with black. This one I really like the way that I abstractly simplified it because those thin white lines on the side, if you really squint your eyes, they blur together so well that you can just simplify them as gray here. And as it gets more chaotic and screwy and the white lines become a little more distinct in the middle, I can use these bricks to convey that separation and chaos. Love that one too. Up next we've got Blonde by Frank Ocean. Take a gray banner, give it a brown triangle on the bottom, a brown circle, a green triangle on top, a light gray block on the top, black spikes, and a light gray border. This is another case of an album that would have been so perfect if I could edit it just one more time. As it stands, the hair is a little awkward to me. I don't really like it all the way. It's the best that I can get it and still have the logo up top, which is a really big part of the album cover, so I wanted to keep that. Ideally, I'd put a green diamond behind the circle for the hair and cut it off on the bottom, making the entire bottom half gray, but that requires an extra layer. And if I don't cut it off on the bottom, then it makes it look like he has long hair. Still though, this is pretty accurate to the original. Up next, we've got In Utero by Nirvana. Take a red banner, give it a white X, a white squiggly border, a red flower pattern, make the top half completely white, give it a yellow gradient from the top, and then a red skull pattern. This one I literally spent hours tinkering with because there's only so many ways that you can kind of convey an angel figure on a banner. The lazy way would have been for me to color swap the existing angel pattern that you can find online just by Googling it. But A, that angel looks like a cat, and B, this one conveys the vibe of this album cover a lot better. Getting the yellow gradient into the mix was really important to me because that both makes the background look more accurate to the album cover, but it also adds some orange and red orange into the figure. Anyways, up next we've got Fragile by Yes, in which we take a black banner, give it a blue gradient on the bottom, put a black gradient on the bottom right over that blue gradient, add a green flower symbol, a light blue thing symbol, which I find really funny that that's what they renamed it to. Thing! Add a light blue circle, and then a lime globe pattern. Obviously, the globe pattern is going to go into this one. Like no doy. Up next, after Fragile, we've got The Fragile by 9 Inch Nails. Haha, see what I did there. Take a red banner, give it an orange border, a black stripe on the left, a red gradient from the bottom, a gray block on top, a light gray square on this corner, and then white spikes. I've gone through several versions of this cover and I'm really proud of the one that I've got right now. Up next, we've got Yeezus by Kanye West. Take a white banner, give it a gray X, a red stripe on the right, a light gray squiggly border, and a light gray normal border, and then block it off on the top and the bottom with white. Up next, we've got Superunknown by Soundgarden, which I'm really impressed with myself that I was able to do because the bottom part of the cover, the upside down trees, that's easy enough, but actually getting the figure as accurately as I could get it, which still looks a little bit like mishmash, but it kind of does on the actual cover too. This one took a lot of tinkering. Take a black banner, give it a red circle, an orange skeleton pattern, a black snout pattern, a red thing, and then put a black creeper face on top of all of that, and then of course give it some white spikes on the bottom as the upside down trees. I really love this one because this is one that kind of looks really hard to do as a banner, but hey, here it is. Up next, I got a lot of comments for this one, probably mostly as jokes, but mostly serious as well. No Love Deep Web by Death Grips. Take a white banner, give it a green gradient on the bottom, a light gray gradient on the top, a light gray brick pattern, a black diagonal stripe, and then cut it diagonally with a light gray triangle on the top right. This one had a very interesting design process because I wanted to have the texture of the bathroom tile, but obviously the best way to block off this black sensor bar, which is the most important part, would be to block it off with this big triangle on the very top layer. So I found that by making the texturing of the background as subtle as I could possibly make it, that from a distance it kinda really doesn't matter that it's getting chopped off in half, still conveying the texture well while not having this chop off be that jarring. And of course, if you want the uncensored version, literally all you have to do is make this stripe pink. It's that simple. Up next, we've got Tago Mago by Can. R.I.P. Damo Suzuki, one of the best to ever do it. Take an orange banner, give it a white X, make the entire top half light gray, give it a white squiggly border, add an orange circle to the middle, an orange flower pattern to the middle, and then give it a white normal border. Another one that's gone through revisions recently. Up next, we've got Modal Soul by Nujabes. Nujabes? Nujabes? Now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever tried to say his name out loud. Huh. Take a gray banner, give it red bricks, a red squiggly border, make the entire right side red, give it a red gradient from the bottom, then block it off on top first with white and then with blue to get that light blue horizon looking thingy. Up next, we've got In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel. This one I designed a while ago, but it took me so long to figure out the coloring. There's so much weird gradient work with this one. Take a yellow banner, give it a white gradient from the bottom, a cyan block on the bottom, a lime gradient from the bottom, and then a cyan gradient from the top. Weird, I know. Then it's simple, you just give it a red triangle and a white circle. Up next, another recently revised one. Stop it, get out of here. I'm evil, I do evil things. Dummy by Portishead. That's what we have next. Take a black banner, give it a white creeper face, give it a black diamond, a light blue stripe down the center, a blue gradient from the top, and then block it off on the top and the bottom with blue. Up next, we've got In Rainbows by Radiohead. Take a green banner, make it blue on the top half, give it an orange central stripe, a red block on the bottom, a yellow block on top, a black brick pattern, and a black squiggly border. Often when an album cover is very text-centric, I resort to using bricks and using the in-between lines that they create to kind of convey that text. So since this cover is mostly text, that's what I focused on, just getting the colors of the letters in generally the right places. So I'm mostly satisfied with this one, but I wish I could make it look a little better. Not sure how, but it is good for what it is. This one did come out looking real good though. You Will Never Know Why by Sweet Trip. Take a light gray banner, give it a white central stripe, a white snout pattern, that's gotta be a snout pattern record, a black border, a white border on top of that, and then a white block on the top and the bottom. I designed this one a while ago. This one is one of the first ones that I utilized the snout pattern for, and it's so perfect for this one. I really love the way that this one comes out. And finally, what is probably the most requested of the last video, Igor by Tyler the Creator. I also kind of just got a lot of Tyler the Creator comments in general, but mostly for Igor. So yes, I will try to do the others, but this is what I'm starting with because it's the most requested. Take a light gray banner, give it a pink squiggly border, a gray diamond, a black block on the bottom, a pink block on the top, and then a normal pink border. And that's looking pretty clean. So clean, I even got the lighting on the edges of his face. And there you have it, those are the 20 new album covers that I'm covering in this video. But I would also like to address a major design change that I've made to Kid A. Guy Dude 439 pointed out that before I put in the black gradient, it already looked pretty good with just the red spikes for the sky. When I originally designed this back in like 2022, I was a little hung up on trying to get black into the sky, but looking back, I have to agree, just keeping it with the red spikes actually still does convey it very well, and it doesn't make the bottom section all muddy and dark. And so removing this layer inspired me to redesign this thing completely now that I had an extra layer to toy with, and I decided to add in the glitchy randomness on the bottom of the cover. So in this new redesigned version of Kid A, we start with the same white banner and the light gray gradient on top, give it a light gray triangle on the bottom, a white diamond, a white squiggly border, gray spikes on the bottom, and then red spikes on top. And that is definitely better than the first one by a mile. So thank you for that suggestion, I really appreciate it. Like I've been saying, I make mistakes, I ain't perfect. Ultimately, I just really want all of these album covers to look the best that they can possibly look. So any edit suggestions that y'all have are very valued. And that'll be it for this video. Here I am in front of all of them so far. As this series continues, we're gonna be able to make a seriously big and seriously cursed Minecraft topster. So I guess look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Qualia Quartz. Like I've been saying, there will be more. I am open to suggestions. I am open to modification ideas. I love y'all. Y'all are great. Don't get Weezered. Goodbye.